proof that the Red Sea crossing happened. Like proof, not just artifacts on the bottom. We had those. We had chariot wheels on the bottom of the Red Sea. We had all these cool little artifacts. But the coolest thing that I saw is the shoreline. If you've ever watched the Ten Commandments movie, they had that big pillar of fire that came down. That's mentioned in the Bible. This pillar of fire, I just pictured these flames coming down. But when you go to that shoreline where it's documented to happen, the entire shoreline is melted sand. And it takes about 3,000 degrees or more to melt that sand. And it's evenly melted. You can almost see like footprints. There's stones infused in this melted sand. This is amazing. You don't hear about it. If it was a proof of evolution, it would be in every single textbook. But it's a proof that there was an Exodus.
It amazes me how this gentleman, Frank, just is a believer and follower of the Church of Ron Wyatt. And Ron Wyatt, who, by the way, has made many claims about proof of the Exodus, proof of Jesus, the Bible, blood of Jesus, all kinds of things. And not one of his claims have been verified or proven. And the fact of the matter is that their way of proof is proof in the public sector. Just by screaming it over and over and over and over and over again, people tend to believe it. And that's how a lie works. If you tell the lie often enough, with enough conviction, people will begin to believe it. So it has already been debunked that the chariot wheels that have been found in the Red Sea are not time frame accurate, are not the right style, could not have been. It is already proven that where Ron Wyatt claimed that he dove and found them, that he went there with scuba gear that was made for recreational scuba diving. He could not have reached those depths, so he could not have found them. This one about being on the sand, the footprints in the sand, are the ones that I find the most disturbing. Because it flies completely in the face of science. Completely. It would take you less than 2 minutes to go into Google or whatever search you use and ask the question, at what temperature does sand melt? And when you find any article concerning that, any statements concerning that, it's going to tell you that it melts at around 3,090 degrees. Now, so roughly 3,000 degrees. We'll use that number. It's easy to remember. At 3,000 degrees, it'll further discuss and tell you how sand, when it melts, it turns into a liquid form. When it turns into that liquid form, it is easily malleable. You can mold it. You can step your foot in it. Here's the problem. At 3,000 degrees, sand turns into glass. The cooling stages that glass would need to be at for people to have put their footprints in it would mean that they had to stand there and wait for a long ass time, because it's an impossibility for you to survive putting your feet in molten glass. That's not going to happen. Here's the other problem. According to this story, the fire was behind the Israelites. Once they finished or were halfway crossing, and almost at the end of the crossing, the torch flames supposedly stopped. The Egyptians could not have begun their journey immediately. They would have to wait for that liquid glass to cool down. At the point that it would have cooled down enough for them to be able to start crossing, it would have left wagon wheels, chariot wheels, and foot soldiers who wore sandals. They wore sandals. There would be no footprints. There would be sandals. The people who may have left footprints, if this story was true, were in front of the molten sand, so there would be no footprints. Now, once the sand cools off, it is not rock. It will be glass. It would be a beach shining so bright in the sunlight from all the glass and not rock. So what most likely is these footprints that you find at the Gulf of Aqaba, in the place where it is not documented by anyone other than the Bible that this is where the Egyptians crossed. And the Gulf of Aqaba is not the Red Sea. It's a gulf that feeds into the Red Sea. But let's just say, for shits and giggles, back then, all of that was called the Red Sea. Right? How would it's been shown that those footprints would have been because before it was hardened rock, it was mud. It was mud that then become fossilized, not hot ass sand that turns into glass. And then the last part about this crossing. This crossing is at a spot because it's the shortest crossing spot that it could be at. It's 32 miles. 32 miles. So what you telling me is that over 2 million people with wagons and old people and children and women, and some people would be pregnant, some people would be lame, that 2 million people traverse 32 miles in one night. And y'all believe that. Y'all say that that is true. Come on, people. Don't be so foolish. I at least give credit to those who say that, oh, it's all an allegory, it never really happened. But then if it's all an allegory, then your bloodline don't work. So then that doesn't work either. But come on, people. Are you really, really that desperate that you need to believe in these fairy tales? So always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.